Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a valuation expert in St. Louis, Missouri. I have the pleasure of discussing the impact of COVID-19 on business valuations and this concept called EBITDAC, so EBITDA with a C, with Achille Ekeu, a business valuation expert in Washington, D.C. I think that you bring up a good point because the SEC isn't really somebody to mess with. And so why are some companies still using this non-GAAP metric? Should they reconsider?
Yeah, I think definitely, especially publicly traded companies who publish their statement to the SEC every quarter or every year. Yeah, so they have to be very careful about using those type of metrics because that could come back and hurt them very, very, very badly. So absolutely, so they should stray away from that. And many organizations, like I said, are prohibiting the use of that metric. It's a non-GAAP metric. It's not something that makes sense. Just because of a situation you lost money, you don't get that. You don't get to discount that loss because you feel because of what you feel. No, it's a reality you have to deal with, and so it's important to keep things real.
But what if I'm a non-public company? Like, what if I'm just a privately held, smaller business and, why should I get dinged for all of this extra expenses? And do I care what the SEC says? Because I'm just trying to get more investors. So I'm just showing this metric. Do you think it's maybe reasonable to use it at that point?
From the business valuation expert standpoint, it's very dangerous if they venture in that area. Remember, valuation, if you do valuation, people use the valuation report for a variety of purposes. For example, for tax purpose, it goes to the IRS, and the IRS has to use that report to be able to issue a tax bill. For example, in the case of a gift tax or an estate tax. It's the case of an estate tax, for example. And then the valuation reports is also used by lending institutions, by investors, and things like that. So if you submit a wrong report based on wrong data, that is going to give a false impression to those people who are using that report, and that could come back. As we know, business valuation experts are also vulnerable in that area. They could be fine, or they could be, there are all kind of sanctions that we could be going through, even litigation in some cases if it's really egregious. So people have to be very careful. Just because it's a private institution doesn't give you the right to be able to issue reports that are based on false information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
which is where we kind of come in and use professional judgment.
absolutely.
We're trying to say, okay, I understand that maybe these expenses are not going forward,
Mhm.
but, we still are showing a loss.